Welcome back to the Crochet Chronicles with my friends over at Michaels.com. I'm your host Mikey. Today we're going to do this beautiful Ocean Waves Afghan. I love this Afghan. Both are exactly the same design depending on which video that you're looking at. And what we have, this is the boho version and this is the classic country. And again, both are the exact same pattern. The colors, just like you see here, are coming right out of the Caron Big Cakes. It is fabulous. And how many balls are you going to need? Only 3. So you'll need a 6mm size J crochet hook in order to play today. Let me show you the yarn and then I'm going to show you how to do the stitch. It's really easy to master. This video has sound alerts added. When you hear this sound, it will be your signal that the segment is finishing up. Press stop and crochet the instructions and then press play again to continue along in your project. So here is the yarn of choice. It's called Caron Big Cakes. Only 3 balls, can you imagine, to make an Afghan. There's a lot of yarn in this thing. It's nice and compact. And here's all the colors you're gonna get involved with. And the colors are dyed in a certain way that is sequential and you get the look that you see. This is called Cranberry Crisp. It's a really fabulous looking color. So you're going to notice that the colors change on its own and it's beautiful. So you don't ever have a color too much. In my sample that I'm about to show you, you're gonna see a whole big block of color. That's because I only did a small sample of it. I'm also gonna tell you how to change the size if you want to. So what you have is that the shorter distances that you have, then the colors don't change as often. So the longer that it is, you can see almost virtually every row or every 2 rows is something different and it's really quite wonderful. So let me show you my sample and then we're gonna dive right in and get started. So here's my swatch to test if I could actually do it or not, and this is what it looks like. And as I mentioned, because it's smaller, you get color a lot longer than you would as if it was much longer. So that is just a big difference. So if you want to change the size of this, the multiple number of this is 16 plus 9. So if you go 16, 16, 16, 16 in your chain and then add 9 at the end, you can change it to be any distance that you would like to. Just remember that the way that the designers have done this, they've actually thought about it and thought about the yardage of each color in order to get that maximum look out of the Afghan. So that's completely up to you if you would like to change it. So what we're gonna do is that when we start off, we're gonna start off with a chain and then we go in the up direction and then down. And this whole section right here, you would think that it was the peak, but in actual fact it's the base. Completely confused me when I was looking at this pattern for the very first time, like longer than I care to admit to. And then we go up the hill again and then down the hill and then we do this section. But just because I was confused doesn't mean you're going to be, because the fact is that I've already figured it out and I can explain this to you. So what are you seeing that's unusual? See the sides? The sides here have a bit of a jetting out on it, and I want to tell you something about this because I actually thought it was a mistake in the pattern and it's not. So what we have is that when we look at the jetting out, do you see here? This one jets out, but the other side it didn't jet out, does it? So what happens on these particular patterns is that if you follow it across in the second row, this one jets out just like this. So we have to think about the jetting out does not appear equal. So let's follow this one. So this one's sunk in. So we follow it and look, it's jetting out on this side. So the jetting out is every other one but not in the same row. So when I originally looked at this, I figured that the jetting out here, just like it jets out, would just be the same on the other side, but in actual fact it's not. One is stepped in just like this. So if you understand that, this pattern is so easy because you're not so worried about trying to figure something out that's not supposed to happen in the first place. So there's only repetitive rows of 2. So 1 row, the next row, 1 row, the next row. So it's very, very quick and easy to be able to remember this pattern as you go across as well. You just have to trust in it. So without further ado, let's grab your crochet hook and some yarn and let's grab our big cakes and let's get started. So let's grab your yarn and let's get started and create a slip knot. So if you want to chain exactly what the Afghan is, it's 154. That's your magic number. But if you would like to change the size, which I'm about to do because I'm going to do a swatch with you, is that the secret number is 16. So you do 16, 16, 16 and then at the end when you're satisfied add 9. So remember it's either 154 or as the multiples is 16 plus 9. So we just chain. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 and 16. So there is one set of stitches right there. So you can either do 16s and then add 9 at the end or 154. I'll leave that with you and meet me back here in just a moment. So regardless if you did 16 plus 9 in your multiples, or if you did the 154, you'll end up in the same spot though. You'll end up at the end of your chain. If you notice that my chain is a different color, just to let you know, this is take number 2. I determined the other color was too dark for you to be able to see the stitches. So what we're gonna do now is that we are going to do row number 1. It only appears once, and we need to set up our pattern in order to get this whole thing to go, and then it's a matter of repeating rows number 2 and 3 for the remaining of the project. So right where we are now, we're gonna go 4 chain from the hook. So we're just gonna go slowly, take our time. So 1, 2, 3 and 4, and we are going to go 4 chain of the hook, and we're going to double crochet just like that. Okay, and then what we want to do then is that we are going to double crochet again into the next one, and then again into the next one. So technically what we have when you look at this is that you have your starting one that you skipped over, and then 3 double crochets in a row. So now we're gonna head up over top of a peak. So the next one will be 3 double crochets into the same one. So we have 1, 2 and 3. Just like that. So now what we're going to do is that we're gonna go down the peak. So the next 3 in a row in the chain will each be 1 double crochet. And now we're ready for the fun stuff. So you can see that a peak actually formed in your project. So now what we're gonna do is that we're gonna swoop around the bottom and collect it in a way that you would think that it's actually a top of a peak, but it's actually bottom. It's actually pretty ingenious. So what we have is that we're going to skip over a set number of stitches which will be the number of 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4 and go to the 5th, and I want you to double crochet into the 5th. So we're gonna create like a half of a wagon wheel kind of idea. So into the 5th one here I double crocheted, and then I'm gonna chain 1, and I'm gonna double crochet again into that same one, and then I'm gonna chain 1 and double crochet again. And you want a total of these 5 double crochets that are separated by chain 1. So chain 1, double crochet, and then finally chain 1 and double crochet. So you should have at the end of this 5 double crochets in like a half moon formation, just like you see there. So now you're gonna skip over the next 4 chains. So 1, 2, 3, 4 and go to the 5th, and I want you to double crochet into the 5th. So you got 1 and then double crochet into the next one and double crochet into the next one, and we're heading back up the hill again. And I know it's almost hard to believe that you're doing that, but it really does work out that way. So we've now come up a hill and back down, and now we're swooping around, and now we're technically going back up the hill again. So once you have your 3 in a row, the next one is just 3 double crochets into the same one. So 1, 2 and 3. So that's the top of your hill. So now you're gonna come down the other side. How many in a row? It's only 3. So we're gonna come down. So 1 and 2 and 3. So you just got to remember that in the peaks, other than the one on the outside, is always going to be 3 double crochets by itself. There's going to be 3 at the top, and then 3 coming down the other way. And now we're going to do another one of these. So you remember how many to skip? You got to skip over into the 5th one. So skip over 4 and go to the 5th, and you're going to put in your double crochet followed by a chain 1 and then double crochet again, followed by a chain 1 and double crochet again, and you want a total of 5 double crochets coming out of there, and they're separated by chain 1s. So now that you've done that, you want to go up the hill. So you're gonna skip over to the 5th one. So 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5, and you're gonna go double crochet into that one and the next one, because you're going up the hill. So it'll be 3 going up, and then at the top of the hill you are going to put in 3 double crochets, and then going down the hill there's gonna be a total of 3 double crochets in a row. So I seem to be missing 1 stitch here. I think I might have skipped an extra stitch. So if that happens to you, honestly I would just fake it. So I'm gonna put this in. So I would put in a 4th one here just because I'm short 1 stitch. So there's 1 and then just double crochet the next 2. Sometimes you gotta make it or fake it, especially if you're going all the way across and you're off by a stitch. Sometimes you can manipulate it in order to work like so. So now you technically went down the hill like there, so right at the end. So that's what I would do, and then we're gonna start row number 2 and then continue to row number 3 and then back to 2 and 3 and 2 and 3 all the way through. So let's begin row number 2 and we're gonna turn our work. So what's gonna happen here is that every time you're doing these kind of ideas, the very last one here is that, remember there's a jetting out? Well, we don't go all the way to the end. We stop a little early so that we can do our work just quite nicely. So this side, whenever we get, we'll always finish off a little bit earlier so that it creates the jetting out. But this side, when we go to start it, we'll always just start straight up. So we're going to then chain up 3. So 1, 2 and 3, and you want to double crochet yourself until you get to the middle of the group of 3 that is here. So just double crochet yourself up, and how many will there be? The answer is 4. There will be 4 double crochets sitting by itself. So that chaining of 3 counts as a double crochet. So that's 1, 2, 3 and 4. The next one is the middle one of the group of 3 that's in the top of the hill, and you want to keep that being the top of the hill, so you're gonna put in 3 there too. So that'll always be consistent for you. And so we're now gonna come down the hill, and you can see that there's 4 stitches. So 1, 2, 3 and 4. But whenever you go down the hill, you're only gonna do the first 3. Okay, so keep that in mind. Whenever you're coming up or down a hill, it'll only be 3. It's only the very first one on the edge that it's different. So now you can see you can leave that alone. So on row number 2, what we're going to do is that we're going to work ourselves into the chain 1 spaces that are in between the spokes that you see. So just lean on over, go right into the first space in between, and I want you to single crochet and then chain 3, and then go into the next chain 1 space, single crochet, chain 3, next chain 1 space, single crochet and then chain 3, and then this is the last one here. So you just single crochet. So you went in, single crochet, chain 3, you did the next one, chain 3, you did the next one, chain 3, and then you did the final. So there's a total of 4 single crochets that are separated by chain 3s. Now you're just gonna go up the hill. So when you go up the hill, you skip over the very first one, and then you just start on the second one to go up the hill, and you double crochet. So 1, 2, you're only doing 3 going up the hill, and then you should be in the middle one of the group of 3, which is right here, and you're gonna keep that being the peak, so you'll just put in 3 double crochets into the top. Okay, so let's review going back down the hill. So you're gonna do the first 3 there, you're gonna see 4, 1, 2, 3 and 4, but you're only gonna do the first 3. So 1, 2 and 3, and then you're going to do that fancy stuff that is in between the spots of the chain 1 areas here. So lean on over and just get a single crochet into the first space, and then chain 3, and then go into the next space, single crochet and chain 3, next space, single crochet, chain 3, and then your very final space that's left is just single crochet. So you're gonna do this same configuration going all the way across, and you get these beautiful ups and downs, and then as you hit the final one, so as you're gonna go and miss the first one and double crochet into the second one that's going up the hill. And how many are up the hill? The answer is 3. So you're gonna do 3 going up the hill. You're gonna be at the top of the hill now that you see. It's the middle one of the group of 3, and you're gonna keep that being the top, so you're gonna put 3 double crochets into that same one, and then you're gonna go down the hill only 3. So 1, 2 and 3, and look what happens. See, the jetting out is existing on this side, which it should be, where on the other side it's still going up flat. So we know that we're doing it correctly. So that's how you do row number 2. So every time you have row number 2, you'll do it exactly this way. Let's do row number 3. So let's begin row number 3. So we're gonna do it very similar. So what happens in this pattern is that this section here that you see, so here and here and the end, always are the same. It doesn't matter the width of it, it's always the same. So what happens is that the area here changes every other row. So see how we have these fanning out of the 5 that have chain 1s in there? We're gonna introduce it back in the middle one of this section right here in order to keep it being consistent. So let's start again, and we're going to chain up 3. So 1, 2 and 3, and we're going to double crochet ourselves to the top of the hill, and there will happen to be 4. So remember what I said is that the edge is always different. It's always starting off with 4 going up the hill, where all the rest of the hills in the middle are always 3 up, doing the top 3 down. So now you're at the middle one of the group of 3. So to keep that being the middle, you have to put in 3 double crochet. So 1, 2 and 3, and then you're gonna come down the hill. How many? You have 4 there. So 1, 2, 3 and 4. It's only gonna be 3 going down. So 1, 2 and 3 going down. So in this row here, whenever you have row number 3, it's always gonna be the same thing. So you see that you have these chain 3 spaces. You see a total of 3 of them. So you wanna go into the middle one, and you want to create exactly what you created down here into that. So you're just gonna yarn over and double crochet right into the middle space, and you're gonna double crochet, chain 1 and double crochet again, and guess what? You're gonna chain 1 and you're gonna double crochet again, and chain 1, double crochet again, and chain 1 and double crochet. So how many double crochets will there be in those spaces? There will be a total of 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Chain 1s that separate them, and we'll play with them again, doing exactly what we did in the row below next time we come back across that. So now we're gonna extend over, and we're gonna skip the first one that is going up the hill, go to the second, and you're gonna double crochet. How many going up the hill complete? There'll be a total of 3. Just like that. Now you're at the top of the hill. So you're gonna keep that being the top, so you're gonna put in your 3 double crochets, and then you're gonna come back down the hill for 3, the first 3 in a row, and there is technically 4 there from the row below, but you're gonna skip that last one, right? The answer is yes, Mikey, that's right. So now you're going to look to where you have, so you're gonna go into the middle one of the chain space here, and you're gonna double crochet, chain 1 and double crochet. How many do you need in there? You need a total of 5, making sure they're separated with chain 1s in the middle of them. So just make sure you got 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Once you have that done, you're satisfied, and you keep going. So you're just gonna go across your distance doing the exact same thing on this row, and every other row is exactly this. So once you have your 5 in, you extend over, you come back looking up the hill, you skip the first one going up, go to the second one, and you're going to put 3 in a row, and then that'll take you to the top of the hill, and then top of the hill there will be 3 double crochet, and then back down the hill, and back down the hill you're only gonna do the first 3 on this side. So 1, 2 and 3. You're done. So here is the jetting out that appears now on this side. So when I fold them over, do you see the difference? Is that the first time it jetted out was on this row, and then it went flat, but this side was still flat, and now it's jetted out in here. So when we come back across, it's actually gonna create a jet out here. So what I want to do is just review row number 2 with you again. If this is row number 3, so just reverse the video back if you need to do this row again, and then I'll just show you how to get started on number 2, and then I'm gonna leave this whole Afghan for you to do, and I think you're really gonna love it. So let's begin row number 2 again. So we already know how to do this row, but let's review anyway. So we're gonna chain up 3. So 1, 2, 3 counts as a double crochet, and we're gonna double crochet ourselves until we get to the top of the hill. And the secret number, because it's an edge, how many should there be? Should be 4. It's the edge. Okay, it's the only one that's different, and now you're at the top of the hill. So you have 4 in a row. So the top of the hill is always gonna be 3 double crochet, and then we're gonna come down the hill now. So the rest of the hills in the middle are all gonna be the same. So you're only going to go down 3 of them. So 1, 2 and 3, and so you'll have a 4th one there that you're gonna skip over, and now you're looking at this whole contraption over here. So we just separate the double crochets and lean right over and single crochet between them. So you separated the first one, chain 3, separate the next one, single crochet and then chain 3, separate the next one, single crochet and chain 3, and then go into the last one. Okay, so now you've just now created your 3 chain spaces that you needed, and now you're gonna go back up the hill. So skip the first one that's going up the hill and go to the second, and you're gonna put 3 double crochets in a row going up the hill, and then you'll be at the top of the hill, which is the next one, and there will be 3 there. So 1, 2 and 3, and then coming down the hill the next 3. So 1, 2 and 3 coming down the hill. So now here's your whole configuration here again. So just separate them, the first section, single crochet between, and fill those in with chain 3s in between, go in between the next one, chain 3, next one, chain 3 and next one. Okay, so now you can see you've just got your 3 sections in, and now just leaning over, skip the first one going up the hill and go to the second one over, and there's 3 in the row going up the hill, and then the next one is the top of the hill, so it's the middle one of the group of 3. So you put in 3 there to make sure you keep that hill going, and then finally, because you're at the end, it's only the first 3 coming down, and then you stop, and that's what creates the jetting again on this side. You see that? So now if you turn your work, there you go. So this is row number 2, and then you just do what you just did in the last row, row number 3, and just keep on doing rows 2 and 3 over and over until you get the desired length that you want. And it's just really quite an easy way to go. And so you want to finish on the end of row number 3. So let's just review on how to do that. So I want you to finish on the end of row number 3. So meet me back when you're ready to do that, and I'm gonna push this tutorial now to do the very final ending row. So let's pretend your Afghan is almost finished and you're gonna do your final row. So the final row is slightly different from anything that you've done, but it's very close to it. You just got to do it. So what we're gonna do is that we're gonna start up and we're going to chain up 3. So 1, 2 and 3, and we want to do exactly what you already know. So you're gonna climb up the hill. There'll be 4 in a row coming up like there would have been the whole way, and then at the top of the hill you're gonna put in your 3 double crochet in order to keep that hill going, and then you're gonna come down the hill and do the next 3 in a row. So 1, 2 and 3. So here's what's different. You're going to lean over and you're gonna go right into this chain 1 space just like you see here, and you're gonna go into this space and single crochet. You're going to single crochet into the next double crochet, and then you're gonna single crochet in the next chain 1 space, and then you're gonna single crochet in the next double crochet, and then you're gonna go into the chain 1 space, and then into the next double crochet, and then finally into the chain 1 space. Okay, so we're not doing exactly what you've done before. You're just filling in all the spaces, and then once you have that done, you finish in the space in between, and then just reach over, skip the next one, and then you do the 3 going up the other side. And I'll review this one more time. So you do your 3 going up. You're at the top of the hill, so you keep that going. So put 3 into the top, and then 3 coming back down. 1, 2 and 3. And now you're gonna lean over, go into the first space here, single crochet, and then single crochet in the next double crochet, then go into the next space, single crochet, go into the next double crochet, and so on. And you keep filling that all in. until you get to the final space that is filled in. So just looking at it, I can tell where I am. So I really don't need to count it, I just look for it. So this is the final space, and then I just lean over, so skip the first one going up the hill and do the next 3. So 1, and then you got 3 coming up, and you're gonna do 3 at the top of the hill. 1, 2, and 3, and then 3 coming down, and then that's it. Your afghan's done. So if you want to add fringing on, we have tutorials available on the Crochet Crowd if you would like that, to add to any kind of fringe to it, and those instructions are actually on the project. But they're actually 10 length strips that are cut, and then they're just put together. So you put 6 strands together and then just attach it to each one of the points that you see on your particular afghan. So on behalf of Michaels.com and the Crochet Crowd, thank you so much for joining us. Please enjoy your new Ocean Waves afghan. Beautiful design, and I think the Caron Big Cakes are really going to be an amazing idea with this. So until next time, have a good one. We'll see you again real soon. Bye bye.